good. I got my clicker and my Metro card and my water, and time's running. So has everyone used Remix here? Good, because we're going over updates, and if you don't know what Remix is, you're not going to be knowing what we're updating. Oh, I can look down here. OK, so this is we're going over the cloning from the File Explorer, editor updates, proxy contracts, new templates, compile and run, and grab bag of funsies. You can clone a repo from the File Explorer. Wow, I think I had another slide here, but I don't see it. So the reason that you want to, and maybe the slide will come up later, but I'm going to say it again. Remix is not like a Google Doc. So we're not saving your information on our servers. If your browser crashes, you lose your files. So it's good to save your files in a repo and push that repo somewhere else, or use RemixD and save it to your hard drive. Oh yeah, so then the red circle's circling the new icon. So if you want to clone a repo, you click that icon, you get a modal comes up, and then you put the address of your repo, and then it makes a new workspace with the name of the repo. And then if you don't like the name, you can, of course, change the name. That top band's for like workspace tools, and the bottom band here is for files. And so when you click on the pull down of all your workspaces, workspaces with a Git repo attached have the Git icon. And if you want to manage the Git repo, because you probably don't want to manage it, you got to go to the DGit plugin, and you click that by going to the Git. Why am I pointing down there? You click that, and then you get to the DGit plugin, and then there's a push-pull commands. But you can also push to a IPFS if you want to make a Git repo on IPFS. You can have private nodes there, private repos, and here's some editor updates. I updated this slide. She got the long run. Anyway, so there's autocomplete. So now, if you want to, you got to get a complete compilation, successful compilation, and then you can do, and you can turn this off and on. But it means that autocompile is going to be on while you're using autocomplete. So, so then now, like if you're typing AD in your smart contract, the address will autocomplete it. And it's in the next release, we're doing autocomplete on imports. So if you start typing import with a couple curly quotes, double quotes, you get autocomplete of all your contracts, and also all of Uniswap if you type Uniswap, or all of the Open Zeppelin library. So it's a quick way of getting the right imports without any misspellings in. And I misspell a lot, so this autocomplete stuff is really helpful for me. And also, just like in VS Code, files will turn red when you got errors. And on the File Explorer and on the tabs when you do something silly. And now you get gas estimates in line. So you can know how much gas you're spending as soon as you compile the contract. That's per function. When you right-click on a term, you can get the definitions and references. So you can bounce around the code, and it'll even go into the imported contracts. And when you hover, you can get the error messages, and you can get the definition of terms. So this is the file. This is the slide I was talking about earlier, where you have to know where your information is getting saved. And that's why it's good to push to an external repo, and it's good to use RemixD if you want to save it to your local file system. Do you all know about RemixD? Does anyone? OK. It's an NPM package, and it allows you to share a folder on your hard drive with Remix when Remix is in the website version, not Remix Desktop. So it's a good way to save files more secure than in the browser. We got proxy contract functionality now. So this is using the UUPS pattern. So any contract that's importing a ERC 1967 contract is going to get this functionality. And you won't see it unless you are importing this contract. And when you see the functionality, it's going to, you get the deploy with proxy. And you can upgrade it too. And so then when you click deploy, there's going to be 2 deployments. And if you're deploying it to the Remix VM, which used to be called the JavaScript VM, but now we renamed it the Remix VM, you're going to send the implementation, and you're going to send the 1967 proxy. So if you're on a public network, if you're on the Remix VM, it's going to be one modal. You proceed, and you get the other one for the 1967. But if you're on a public network, you're going to have to wait for the first one to go through before the second one's going to happen. So there's going to be that delay. And then when you get the 2 deployed instances in Remix, you have to choose which one to use. But the answer is, if you have to decide. Does anyone have a clue? It's because you got the proxy and you've got your implementation, and you got to decide which one. They're going to have the same information and same functions in both of them, because one's taking the information and sticking it in. But you interact with the proxy. You've written the my token, but you're interacting with the ERC 1967. And then when you want to go and upgrade this contract, you have to either put in the address of the proxy, and then you upgrade the implementation, or you use the last deployed 1967. And then we have this new workflow called compile and run. And so like when you're coding a contract and then you're setting the state, and often you have to deploy multiple contracts, or interact with a bunch of different functions to get to the state to figure out if your next line of code worked. It's kind of tedious. So we have this workflow now where you can write a script and deploy and do all the interactions with Ethers or Web3, and make a JS file script. And so you write the code, compile it, and then run the script. But now we can do both. So you write the script, and then you hit compile and run. So it's going to compile the script, and then it's going to run. It's going to compile your code, and then run the script. And then as a result, it's going to get to the point of your code where you're making your little update. So hopefully it's a good kind of little workflow to get you through some knots while you're coding. And we've got a bunch of new templates. So when you make a new workspace, you can choose a new template. So, by the way, this is where you would initialize the Git repo for every new workspace you create. But here, if you want to choose a new template, this is default. But now we've got a whole bunch of them. I think the latest ones might be coming through in this next release, which is happening, I think, on Monday. So this is kind of a little extra hot off the press. And if you choose one of these, you get a interface to choose, if you want it mintable or burnable. These will add different imports into your Open Zeppelin contract. And then, of course, you can change the name here, or accept that name, or change it later. And then also there's this similar functionality on the Open Zeppelin side. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's like you go there, you can name your token and put it in, and then when you click Open in Remix, it's going to bring the code into Remix. And the workspace is going to be called Code Sample. So it's a good tool just to get some code and start playing with Remix with that. And here's a bunch of little updates we did. So remixd, as I talked about before, is a way of sharing the browser with a folder, specified folder on your hard drive. And before there were all these flags, but now if you run this remixd command, first you have to, of course, download it, but because it's an npm package. But once you run this, it's going to share the directory that you run this command in. And then it's going to share only with remix, remix.ethereum.org, and no other URLs. You can also install Slither locally from remixd. So for all you people using Slither for static analysis. Is anyone using Slither for static analysis? Good. It's a good addition with. And now you can drag and drop in the file explorer. Basically, we're doing a lot of work to bring Remix so that it's a little bit, similar to the way that things are working in VS Code. And in fact, the Monaco editor that we're using in Remix is the same editor that's used in VS Code. There's a bunch of new shortcuts, and to get to this shortcut screen, you just erase all the tabs in Remix, and in the blank space, you get this list of shortcuts. So it's Control S to compile, Control Shift S to compile and run, Control F to get to File Explorer, and Control A to get to the plugin manager. And Viper has got, if you got a button in Viper so that it will get the Viper language repo. So then there's all these examples in there. If you don't know Viper and you want to play with Viper, then go here and you can get lots of examples brought right into Remix. And if you use Foundry, is anyone here using Foundry? Cool. If you can share a folder, your Foundry project folder with Remix, and then you can get the Foundry remappings in Remix. And then there's also a hard hat style console.logs in Remix now. You have to use this line, import hard hat console. And that's cool. And we've renamed some of the labels and pre-configured some choices for deployment. So before the Remix, it used to be called the JavaScript VM. Now it's the Remix VM. It used to be external Web3 provider, and now it's external HTTP provider. And now, as I think there's some new competitors coming to MetaMask, injected. I forget what it was called before anyway, but now we're grabbing the browser plugin MetaMask, and that's getting stuck into the injected provider. So beginners were often not knowing which one to choose to get their browser wallet. And also, we've added Wallet Connect, so you can approve transactions from your telephone. So it's a good way of mimicking how users are going to be using your dApp. And in the run and deploy, there's a plug which will link out to chain list. So if you want to deploy to some obscure or just some chain that you don't know the specs for MetaMask, you can get it there. If you're using an L2, Arbitrum or Optimism, you can click that one, and it will go to a bridge page, and then you can get some of the local currency for that. Most people don't know about the transaction recorder, which is, it's been there a long time, and it will record all the transactions you're running, and it puts them into a JSON file. And then, so like if you have some problem and you want to show to another developer, you could give them this JSON file and the code, and then they can run through all the transactions you did and go to your problem. If you're teaching a class, you can give this scenario file to students to go to a certain point in a smart contract so everyone's working together. And we have this cool feature now so that if you go into a verified contract in Etherscan, you can just, you can browse the verified contracts in Etherscan, and then you just take off the etherscan.io and you put remix.ethereum.org with the rest of the URL, and it will grab that file into Remix. And that's it. Thank you very much.